basically, like I said to you before, this whole series is about what's wrong with the Mandem. It's a very broad statement, and I'm not saying there's something wrong. I'm not saying there isn't something wrong. It's just like an open question. The reason why it came about is because obviously there was a brief period of time when there was a lot of talk about like obviously gang violence and etc. and stuff like that, and I feel like that was kind of like a lazy label for the youth at the time.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like a lot of us were doing things that weren't being, as usual, wasn't being put in the media and portraying like a different side to young people.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like what brought about the question. It's a very broad one. Very briefly, what I would like to start off with, I'm more focusing on what's wrong with the Mandem in terms of what can we do as individuals to basically progress ourselves.
Yeah.
So we know we're not gangsters. We know we're not all criminals.
Some of us.
Most of us. most of us. We know we're not, doing quote unquote, gang activities, etc.
Yeah.
It sounds even silly saying it, but as individuals, what can we do to like basically take it to the next level?
Yeah. So what can we? So let me make sure I get your question right. What can we as an individual? So me as a nominal black person.
Yeah.
What can I do to change the narrative of black people?
Not to change the narrative of black people, but to basically, as an individual, what can you do to basically elevate yourself?
Okay.
And by the way, it's like a conversation, so you can ask me questions.
Yeah, I got you. Well, it's hard for me to kind of make prescriptions for other people. I can speak about myself, right? So about myself, I care about my family a lot. I grew up, not the richest of places. We grew up from Woolwich Poly. Do you know Woolwich Poly?
I know Woolwich.
Okay, good. We grew up in Woolwich Poly, and it wasn't the best of schools back then. I think it's doing better now, but it wasn't the best of schools back then. Family wasn't the richest. So a massive part of my drive for everything I do is just I want to be able to look after my family and the story. Like I want my brother to do well in life. I want my sisters to do well. I want to be able to look after my mom, and that's my kind of thing. Now, that's not special. It's special to me, but you don't have to care. But I imagine for a lot of other black people, that's also their thing is I want to look after my family. And in a weird type of way, white people, like everyone's the same. We want to look after our immediate kind of family, and that's my thing. That's what drives me. That's what gets me going. And I think if you ask me, what should a black person do they should ask themselves why. Why am I lit? Why am I alive? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And for me, the end goal or the answer to that why question is often for my family, so I can achieve my God-given potential, so that I can look after people around me. That like it's a weird question to kind of answer because it's kind of like, Michael, why you do? Because I want to make my family proud. I want to make them happy. Like, I mean, am I not answering your question at all?
I get what you're saying.
Okay, good.
Just focusing more on you as an individual yourself. Like, we were talking earlier, you're doing your doctorate now. You're working on your PhD. You've come a long way from Woolwich. Already, and you're still quite young. Thinking back to those times in Woolwich, like, did you have this vision already? Like, what you were doing? Like, did you know where you were going, or was you just kind of like one step at a time? It's
actually so interesting. We're talking about Woolwich Poly. Before I came here, as you know, I was on TV doing some younger TV show. Anyways, so I just went through makeup. I have makeup on now. It's crazy. They were putting makeup on me. I said, "What are you doing?" They were like, "We're doing," because apparently my face is glary, black. Anyways, so I was in so the makeup went to the waiting room. I was sitting there just kind of fidgeting myself. Like the runner comes in, one of the runners for the TV shows, and he's like, "Oh, hey Mike, do you want anything to drink?" I was like, "I'm fine, I'm good." And he was like, in that moment I had a choice, and I often do this. I mentor people. I'm big on mentorship. Anyways, as he was about to walk out, I was like, "So what do you do here?" And he was like, "I'm a runner. It's actually I'm a work experience. It's 1 week off, whatever." And I was like, "Cool." And you're doing like you volunteered here. And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Amazing. That's such a cool thing." I was like, "That's really good, bro. You're gonna go far." Said some nice stuff to him. Then we talked a bit, pleasantries here and there. Then he was like, "Yeah, I'm from Woolwich Poly." And I was like,
"Oh wow."
I said, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, Woolwich Poly." And I was like, "I went to Woolwich Poly." He was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "No way." I was like, "Why are you so shocked?" I went to Woolwich Poly. He was like, I didn't think anyone from there would like be on TV. Now TV's not that deep. It's actually not that deep.
Yeah.
A lot of the gangsters are talking about Ashley on TV. but it was kind of full circle. He was like 16 or 17. I don't know how they are. And he was like, "Oh, like, how did you get here?" Then we started having a chat about my work history. So my work history is quite different because I worked I've worked with the Cabinet Office, National Working Group in Parliament, as a UK Young Ambassador to the European Union, the British Council, the British Youth Council, Chorus, lots of kind of different places. That's the thing, I work for myself, so it's a bit weird now. But here's my point. When I was young, the one experience I can point to that changed my whole life was being exposed to something else. So doing work experience, everyone got a job at like Superdrug, everyone's trying to just, get a job. I was like, actually, let me not. If I'm gonna be honest with your audience, I actually was really lazy, kind of. So I didn't do anything for work experience.
Okay.
And then 2 weeks, I think, before it was time to go, we get a random email from the House of Parliament saying that, oh, we're doing this scheme. We're wondering if like you have any students who want to come to the House of Parliament. They emailed my school. And I went to the careers advisor, and they told me like, yeah, there's actually a space. So I went there and I worked at the House of Parliament for 2 weeks, and that changed my life. I got to see different people live differently. Like I got to see rich people, because obviously some people come from events, some people, and that just blew my mind. So essentially, exposure to a different narrative to that of Woolwich kind of blew my mind to think, oh wow, there's actually a lot out there that I can do. And from there, I was like on drugs. I volunteered for everything. I was I was the chair of the youth council, the Greenwich Youth Council. I was the member of Youth Parliament. I was a young, I just went for it. But essentially, what happened was someone exposed me to something else. Then I realized there's actually more.
And before then, were you interested at all in politics?
Nah, not really. Sports, my thing. Played sport, table tennis, sprinting. Like I was more into sports. That's what changed. I don't say it changed my life. Like God changed my life. But what really helped me understand that there was more out there was meeting some or was going on that work experience placement and just seeing a different narrative. That's the one thing. What we see really determines how we live. You can only achieve as far as you can see, right? So when you ask them what's your vision for your life, and they're like it's going to be hard for you to kind of achieve. But when you have a massive vision and you got something driving you, so going to that place helped me see something different from Woolwich Arsenal and from Plumstead High Street and from Cheever's Chicken. I actually saw like the speaker John Burko, like hey, what's up? I was like what? So that for me is that.
When you were in that space, how diverse was it? And was that even something you were aware of? Like,
there was one other black guy.
As a young people?
No, I was in like working there. So I was the only work experience student. I think I was actually the only one. There was a guy called Frank, I think his name was, and he was like much older, and he was part of the. So I joined what's called the facilities group, and he was the only other black guy there. And I didn't really, for me, it wasn't a black thing. I was just taking it in. I got to watch PMQs from the Royal Box. I got to so many different things. I was just like, this is just. And then when I worked for all my jobs after really showed me a lot. Like I have seen a lot of crazy stuff, like stuff that I'm like, how am I even going to explain this to people? Speaking at a conference in Thessaloniki, Greece, representing 7.3 million young people, meeting the commissioner of one of the kind of European commissioners from the European Commission, talking about youth politics while she's having a cigarette on the balcony of a fancy. It's just this stuff that I'm like, how am I going to share this with people? But all that stuff I think leaves a mark on you, and you realize that there's actually much bigger out there if you're willing to dream.
Okay, so there's two things I got from that. One thing was mentorship.
Yeah,
like you were able to like see someone who I didn't even ask you why you decided to speak with him.
Yeah,
because he was young.
Oh, because now I've learned the importance of mentorship. I am where I am now because certain older people have just said, "Come, sit down. Let me tell you something. Come sit down." Like I'll give you a dumb example. When I was in church, like when I was younger. My youth pastor put me in charge of some event, some random event, and I needed something from her, so I messaged her, and I was like, yo, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, whoa, never messaged me like that. And I was like, huh? She's like, you first have to ask me how I'm doing, and then you kind of can speak to me. And at the time, I was like, oh, I'm not trying to hear that, that's so dumb. But now, that's a tiny random event, right? But she taught me that. She said, let me, so other people won't say anything, but she taught me, she's like, that's not how you do it. Now that I run a company and I run kind of multiple projects, I now understand how important that is. So just check up on people before you, so that's a tiny little example, but it shows you the importance, I think, of like someone just putting to and saying, bro, come here. Let me tell you this. So because that's the way I've grown up, and that's a I can give you a bigger one where like I got like the role I got at the British Youth Council, like as a UK young ambassador to the European Union, came from, I wasn't qualified. Let's be frank, like, I definitely was not qualified. I was a member of Youth Parliament before, but I wasn't qualified. But it took someone saying, you know what? Let me help this kid out for me. So now that I've been blessed with that, my key principle is if someone holds the door open for you, you hold it open for someone else. So now when I see that, Emmanuel was his name. When I saw him, I was like, okay, cool. I'm not trying to adopt him or anything, but I thought, let me just encourage him, let him know he's on a good track, because he might never see me again. But if he remembers those words that he's on a good track, he's going to do okay, he equally can leave, quote unquote, Woolwich if that's his desire. You know,
Yeah.
Woolwich is a nice place. It's actually a royal borough now, so let's not hammer Woolwich too badly. Do you know what I mean? But ultimately, that for me is like really key.
Okay, you know what? What I find interesting about that is normally when I think of mentorship, I normally think of older person who's really successful, who's done a lot, reaching back, maybe picking one or two lucky few, like maybe bright prospects, and like taking them under their wing and really looking after them. But from what you said, I realized it's more of literally a casual encounter with someone who you can speak with. You don't even have to necessarily have done crazy amounts of success yourself. It's literally, I'm at this stage, you're maybe like a couple stages below.
Let's get you up. Where do you know where the term comes from, mentorship? A lot of people don't know. So mentor is actually a person. So if you go back to Greece, because this is where it came from, a mentor, there's a story with three people: Mentor, Telemachus, and Odysseus. Right? These are Greek figures, and Telemachus is the son of Odysseus, and Mentor is a friend of Odysseus. And what was happening was Odysseus had to go to war, and back then, if you went to war, you're gonna die. Like, it's not like one of those wars. There are troops like coming, you're dying. Like, that's it. So Odysseus was going off to war, and before he went, he put up his friend Mentor. Was like, bro, listen, I'm about to go off to war. I'm probably gonna die. Yeah. However, I've got the son Telemachus, and I want you to, can you look after him? Can you prepare him, to take over the family, because I'm leaving, he's going to be the big boy in the house, and two, he's going to have to look after the family, he's going to be in charge, so like prepare him for that purpose. So Odysseus went to war and died, and Telemachus, you can read about this, there's one story called The Adventures of Telemachus and Odysseus, and their relationship became that of a teacher and a teachee, or a mentor and a mentee, and Mentor essentially prepared Telemachus for the role of taking over the family and prepare. That's where the story comes from. So how do we make it relevant to a 21st century context? Well, listen, some people, unfortunately, some fathers have absconded their responsibility. There's some things you're meant to learn from your dad: how to tie a tie, how to iron stuff. And some people's dad just didn't teach them that. So there's a lot of present but absent fathers. And since that exists out there, our role as people who are aware of these things is to say, okay, cool, I may not be able to be your dad, like, let's not get it twisted, but if I can prepare you for something that's gonna happen in the future, like Telemachus did, Mentor did for Telemachus, namely, as a black man in this country, you're gonna face a lot of pressure from the media, right? You're a minority. Black people make up something like 3.57% of the population, so you're gonna suffer from tyranny of the majority, like that. Those are things that you're gonna struggle with. Let me prepare you for that process. That's what mentorship is. So you can do it to people who are 4 months older than you, 4 months younger. It doesn't matter. Typically, it happens with people older because they've been through more, right? But for to a great degree, all it takes is for you to have more capital in a specific subject or area than someone else, and you can mentor them. You can prepare them for a specific purpose in the future.
I think that's good. I agree with you. And one other thing I've been thinking about as well is I think a lot of us get into our own kind of like bubbles where, like you said, we're just trying to help out our family. We just want to make everyone proud, get us out of maybe Woolwich, Peckham, wherever it is.
Peckham's nice.
Peckham's alright. But
we'll see what the jerk's saying. When I have the jerk in a couple of minutes, we'll see.
Listen, Peckham's done and we're good,
Yeah.
But like I was saying, you get into this bubble of trying to basically help out your family, etc., and it kind of distracts you from noticing people in their own bubbles, if that makes sense, and basically trying to help them along their own way. Even on a deeper level, I feel like you said,
let's get deep.
It's a deeper level. Having present fathers that
present
are
but absent.
I think that still comes from, again, being in a bubble where you're like, okay, and a lot of us are children from parents who are part of the diaspora. So it comes from like a survival mentality of, okay, I'm in this country now, I need to work, I need to do this, I need to get these documents sorted out so we can stay here. And in doing that, you're kind of like shutting out your family in a sense. And I feel like that is a reason why maybe mentorship on a casual level that we just spoke about isn't something that we're seeing, because you're raising a family where your own father, your own mentor, isn't really connecting with you. So it's not natural for you to do that. You know what I'm trying to say? You've done it because you've experienced it from, like you said, from church, from going into politics or working in parliament, I should say. So you are kind of, like you said, exposed to doing it. But I think maybe the reason why we don't see it is because, like you said, present fathers who are actually absent.
No, I hear you. That's such a good point. No, that's a key point, because one thing I've learned based on what you said, and the reason why it's so good is because I used to always like talk bad about, oh, fathers are messing up, and like I used to join the social media and be like, oh, black men are always absent, oh, Jamaican men, and I know join all this kind of banter, quote unquote, but that's so dumb. And you know, I know other words, but I choose the word dumb because that's actually what it is. It's dumb because it's one level of analysis to say that, oh, fathers need to work harder. You need to understand the material pressures, quite frankly, that a lot of black men are under. Like you said, a lot of, like, my dad came to this country, right? And he had to do a lot of stuff so that I can, and let me throw it in, if we're being blunt. My mother worked like a Hebrew slave, if I can borrow that term from the Bible, just so I can enjoy some things I enjoy now, right? Yeah. Before I lift up my mouth to talk bad about her, thunder will strike me first. In fact, she'll probably slap me if I was there, right? But my point is, like, there's all these pressures there, and that explains why. Doesn't excuse it, but it explains why it happens. And I learned from that. And rather than bashing them, what I'm interested in is what you just said. Moving forward, how do I actually now clean up the mess that is the world, quite frankly? You know, you want to get deep. Bro, every night, or every morning when I wake up, or every night, I ask myself one question. I was literally talking to a guy that I mentor on our way here on FaceTime. I asked myself a question, and it might be a bit deep, but this is just the way I am. I was like, before I sleep, I asked myself, did I clean up today? Which means, did I make the world any brighter? Like, the world is dark, bro. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, I can feel the darkness just like just engulfing the world. And my question is, did I clean up? Did I make the world any brighter? And the second question I ask myself is, every morning, right, I ask myself, is it worth it? You know, when I wake up and I've got all these lists of tasks to get done, my question is it worth it? Is this helping me advance the world in the way that I think it should be advanced? Am I being the change I want to see? And for me, that's retributive justice, if you like. It's not so much forcing my parents to wake up. No, my dad gave me what he had. He gave me what he got. He came home, his dad was like just a guy in the house, right? My dad went a step further by at least talking to me. And my dad pulled me to the side. He's had man chats with me, like, Mike, it's funny, he'd be like, Mike, girls? I'm just dead trying to keep a straight face because he's been hella serious. I'm like, I just saw the best out of it, right? So he's went a step further. It's my job now to go a step further. And as you go on, before you know it, things are getting better and better and better. So rather than breaking our self-esteem with, oh, black men, I'm like, no, be better than your father. And that's a great step forward. Do you know what I mean?
I definitely agree.
Getting deep, mate. I haven't even had jerk yet.
I haven't had jerk yet. No, that's definitely deep. Yeah. And another thing that I picked up on that you said that I really agree with is this idea of being in a dark world, dark society. And I feel like a lot of people have just given up. Like a lot of, I know you have a background of faith and so am I. A lot of us have kind of just like,
what? Sorry. What's background of faith? So, say the word. I believe in Jesus.
You believe in Jesus.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is you have a resume.
When you say background of faith, that's how one spiritual herbalist.
No.
I mean, Jesus Christ, I believe it.
You have a resume, as in, like, you're not just I wouldn't say you're just a casual Christian. Like, you're someone who's gone out, done a lot of things. So,
amen. So are
maybe
you.
Can talk, and myself as well. So,
am I outing you? Is this like...
No, this is
okay,
fine,
good. I don't want to cut this, maybe.
No. That's fine. The reason why I said that, because I want to get back to that.
I hear you. I'm just being cheeky. I'm joking. Sorry.
We'll get back to it. So, because I have two questions, basically.
Okay, cool.
One of them is, for just everybody in society in general, like, how do we get out of this mindset of everything's bad anyway, so you might as well...
Yeah.
That's kind of the tone I'm hearing a lot. It's bad anyway, so the world is bad. It's going to end. It's been ending for a long time now. Like, how do we break out of that? Because that's one thing that really bugs me.
Yeah, one at a time. I think we got to think of that one at a time. It's what we teach when we talk about evangelism. It's one at a time. You change hearts and minds one at a time. You clean people up one at a time. You clean yourself up one at a time. And then when you do that, the amalgamation of that is what's like, whoa. But people need to fall in love again with seeing one person change. Right now, we're big on movements, and and everyone just wants followers online. And listen, it hit me the other day. I was like, because this is so dumb that I'm saying this, right? Because it's not even real. But I crossed a certain threshold of followers on like one social media app. And I thought to myself, isn't it mad that, I mean, a lot of them might be just Russian bots, right? But away from that, I thought to myself, isn't it mad? Imagine like 10,000 people like being in a room, like listening to you. That's crazy. Like, that's like, people will dream of that. One day I'm going to speak in front of 10,000 people. These days, like you can have 10,000 people following you. That's crazy, right? But that's the thing, because of social media, we don't understand that that's potentially, if they're real and not bot followers, that's 10,000 nominal people listening to you speak. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But we don't care about it. We just 10K, 15K. We say these things so frivolously. Whereas, I think if we can fall in love again, we've seen one life actually change. That would bring back, it would make it worth it speaking to people.
Yeah.
Imagine me being like, oh, I'm just talking to Michael. This is useless. I only talk in front of 40,000 people. It's like, no, the thought of me being able to learn something from you and you being able to learn something from me, that's going to mean something enough that I'm willing to have the chat with you. And I think personally, on a personal level, what gets me going when I wake up and I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, like the world is hell, there's a lot to sort out. I just focus on the immediate 12 people I have around me. My little brother, who's 18 years old. Sam, how's revision going? Like, that's enough for me. Seeing his life change, that for me is enough. And if we can all fall in love with just changing one life, think about it, if everyone did it, what happens? You know?
It's like a pyramid scheme. Anyway.
ACN. I was actually having a chat with a friend about that the other day. This is no promo for ACN, though.
So, as I was saying before, I said background on faith before. Obviously, you're a Christian.
I am.
I basically met you through a friend of mine who's also Christian.
Who's this?
Tossin. Remember?
No, I'm not gonna lie.
You don't remember? Anyway.
You
remember?
Hope she doesn't watch this.
Gospel choir. This is a guy.
This is a guy?
A guy, yeah.
A guy called Tossin?
Yeah. Don't worry. Trust me, after this you'll remember what I'm talking about.
Okay.
But obviously it was a free gospel choir,
Yeah.
like you're doing a lot of stuff. I think I even came to one of your preaching at one event, Old Kent Road, this is a while back. Anyways, basically
It's in the past.
It's in the past, but it's still relevant.
I got you.
Basically, how do we get people who are Christians now to kind of like, again, break away from this mentality? I think it's one thing for everybody else to be like, okay, yeah, one other person, like you said, reach out to one other person and try and change things one at a time. But I feel like with Christians in particular, it's very, I think the time we're in now is it's very like, we're just waiting for,
For what, bruv? The trade?
When's he coming back?
So,
waiting for rapture. When is Jesus coming back? And then I don't think we're actively trying to get involved to change things. I think it's very much of there's us and then there's them, the world. They're doing a lot of bad things there. It's getting worse and worse and worse. Let's try and take as many people out of there as possible, and let's just wait for the boats to come so we can get out of here. How do we change that mentality? Because maybe I don't know.
No. It's a great question. Like you're right. It's a really big issue. Like, I mean, it's one that I kind of want to treat like properly, like, and spend a whole hour talking, because it's a long, big issue, right? But I'll save your listeners the extended version. Maybe we start a podcast, we can talk about that there, right? But it's a big issue, and if I had a quick answer, the world would change tomorrow, wouldn't it? It is difficult. A lot of people a lot of faithful men have put their head to the problem and haven't been able to quite crack it. And it's because in the Bible there's something called duality that pretty much runs throughout scriptures, and anyone who's worth their salt, who cares about theology, will know that principle to learning the Bible and learning, and theology just in the Greek just means the study of God. So principle to understanding God is understanding that there's this idea of duality that permeates scripture. It's everywhere. The idea that lion and the lamb, it's like, how can you be lion and lamb? It's like, that's a bit weird. Like, one's like ferocious, the other is like peaceful, and that's there. And when it comes to ecclesiology or ecclesiology, which is essentially about what happens when we die and stuff like that, people have to understand one thing. This is not our home. And we have to say that this is not our home. We're not going to be on earth forever. At some stage, we're going to spend eternity in heaven, right? So that's going to happen. But at the same time, whilst we are on this earth, we are to be a city set on the hill, Matthew 5:14. We're to shed our light, let everyone see us. So we have to balance those two things again. One is be very present here. One thing I always say is there's a whole fraction of thinking called social justice, and Christians always get into trouble. Should I be Black Lives Matter or Christian All Lives Matter? It's like, should I be feminism, or does being a Christian cover feminism? And people are always kind of torn. And that's my answer. Christians are meant to care about all suffering, especially eternal ones.
Okay.
As a Christian, you care when someone has a cold. You care when you hear someone's diagnosed with cancer. But overriding that care is where you're going to spend eternity. I'm going to lie, if God fixes your eye and you burn forever, that's a crap deal. That's not. I was about to channel Donald Trump. That's not the art of the deal. That's not good. So as a Christian, you are to care about all suffering. Go out and give your time, your money, your attention to the issues and injustices in the world. But understand, let that exousia, that energy, let it be tempered or augmented by one fact, which is that as well as seeking justice on this earth, there is an eternal justice that God's going to seek on us. And what side you are of that equation is super important.
I think, going on from what you're saying, I think more and more today, I don't think it's really a problem trying to convince Christians that they need to save people. Yeah?
No, save people, not injustice. I said injustice, not just preaching. I mean, like literally volunteering at UNICEF.
Okay,
that's got nothing to do with salvation, quote unquote, soteriology. But you still got to go out there and do it.
Yeah.
So when I say care about all suffering, the eternal one is salvation. Yeah. That's the key thing.
Yeah.
But any attempt or any opportunity a Christian has to alleviate suffering, you should take it. Yeah. Hence why, like my Muslim friend who's struggling with that, I won't be like, it's not saved. Like, what, are you crazy? Like, attend to him. Yeah. Someone's struggling with their shopping bag. Attend to that. Someone's been diagnosed with cancer. Attend to them. Yeah. Like, you gotta care. You really gotta care. The Bible says, and this is the only quote I'll do, that Jesus was moved by compassion. Right? He didn't ask, which one are the Jews? No, he was moved by compassion. Romans 1:16 says the gospel is for the Jews, and then the Gentiles, it's for everybody. Essentially, is the point to make, right? So you have the care, man. Like, it bugs me when Christians are like, just go to church. She's like, go to church, go home. Go to church, go home. When soon is gonna come, and it's like no, like on this earth, there's so much you can do and you should do, and I think Jesus modeled it as well.
Okay, all right. Just to round it all up, obviously, I don't know what that was. Just to round it up, obviously,
switching the
note a bit.
Yeah.
You're obviously one of the founders, or the founder of TCS Network. I don't know why that was hard to say. TCS.
So we actually don't say TCS anymore.
What do you say?
We say the Common Sense Network. Because people think it's a sub company, bro. Remember TCS? They were like, TCS was like one conglomerate. Like, no, we are the Common Sense Network. Yeah.
So do you want to just talk
what that is
and
cool. Well, it's for people like you. It's for millennials who may look at politics and are interested, but aren't super in it because it's just like it's too much, or you're just kind of like ugh kind of thing. So it's a news network for millennials by millennials, and what we do is we try and improve the way people consume journalism. Unfortunately, the issue right now with the way Twitter works, the way social media, the way SNS sites, social networking sites work at large is that you've got these things called algorithms, which pretty much study the way you live, the way you consume, the way you watch things. And then what they do is they market to you based on that knowledge. So they give you what they know you're gonna like. Okay. So before you know it, you've got an online sphere that's crafted for you. And the problem of that is you're not exposed to other ideas. You're not exposed to other thoughts, other viewpoints that you might disagree with, but actually might edify you. So for instance, look at Brexit. People are really shocked that Brexit happened. People voted leave. Yes, they did. The reason why you didn't think so is because all your friends are Remainers. So what we do is we bring opposite sides of the spectrum together, encourage them to talk, to engage, and through that, find a common sense. And if you ask me, the biggest issues in the world, like climate change, gender and identity, how do we solve them? We don't solve them in our echo chambers. We solve them by speaking to other people, not about them. And through that cross-cutting, what's called heterogeneous dialogue, new ideas can emerge. And that's what we do at the Common Sense Network.
Okay, all right. That's quite interesting. One other thing, why I think it's important as well, because like you said, you were exposed to something. Yeah. Going back to your days at Woolwich and
I said going back like I'm like
going back. Not that long ago. Yeah. You were exposed to something, and I think this is actually kind of coming full circle. You're basically using your platform to expose people
to new ideas. Oh my God, I've actually never thought about that before. Yeah. Hey, that was good. That was good. That's good.
Come full circle.
Wow.
So
time for some jerk.
Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate you coming today, man.
Anytime. Hey guys, welcome to the Common Sense Network's YouTube channel. You might be thinking, what's Common Sense about? What's the network about? What kind of videos can I find on here? Well, it's very simple. Videos are going to challenge you. At the Common Sense Network, we like introducing people to new ideas. We like helping people out of echo chambers. So if you're stuck in one, you're thinking, how do I get out? subscribe, join this channel. You can see podcasts, videos, shows, lots of different thought pieces, all geared at helping you leave echo chambers. So how do you get involved? It's very simple, really. Click the subscribe button, join the network. You know, we believe here that we've got to get people talking to each other rather than about each other. Join the Common Sense Network.